the next topic was a dad who wrote a note to his son about porn, and the note went viral. And John, you got into a pretty big debate with some folks in our contributors group about the feelings of it, so maybe you can give the specifics.
Well, I think the kid was looking at porn on the computer, and the dad found out about it because he had to take viruses off the computer that the kid got. And so then it turned out that the dad was like, okay, yeah, he was like, okay, if you want to do this, go to these sites because this is where you won't get viruses. And then people got upset about it.
Well, but wasn't the letter like, it wasn't a brief, you know, hey son, I understand why you do this thing. Here is some things you should know about the computer. Didn't he also like go into a big discussion about the porn and stuff like that too, as I recall it? So I think people were complaining about it wasn't a kind of a terse, hey, you know, I know you got to do your thing, but let's not ruin the computer doing it. It was like a detailed, long thing, which I
think he took the opportunity to also talk to his son about sex and porn. Like,
yeah, I think he was like, well, I'm not ashamed of you. I'm still proud of you. It's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm just telling you that this is what you need to do. I think that's the way it was.
Okay. Was it like that scene with Eugene Levy in American Pie, where
we'll just say we ate it all.
Saved. I've never seen this before.
I'm going to share the link in the chat because people have questions, and rightfully so.
I think the line that a lot of people in the comments that I read about it were objecting to was how he kept reiterating he was still proud of him, which I think was just, we get as parents what he meant. What he meant was, I'm not ashamed of you, like you're still the same guy in my eyes. But I think a lot of people
you just want to jerk it every now and again. I get it.
But I think a lot of people misinterpreted that as, hey, son, I'm proud of you for going out there and seeing the nudies. You know,
okay, so we're all moms of sons. How would we feel about that? If your husband was the one who wrote that note?
Listen, my son is 4 and is constantly tugging on his little penis, and I can't even take it. So I don't even want to know about, like, that's the one thing that, when it comes to boys, that I'm so freaked out about him getting to that, spending all this time in the bathroom part of his life.
My kids aren't there yet either. They're 9 and 10.
But
I'm just not ready for that.
If you found the letter.
I would have
if I found the letter or if I found the porn?
No, you found the letter.
See,
and John had written a letter to Jack?
Yeah.
I would have a problem with it only because, and listen, I am not someone who has a problem with porn at all. No. As long as it doesn't involve children and animals, I like porn just fine. But my problem...
Children and animals.
And children and animals, right. I'm not down with that either. But my problem would be, and, you know, because I thought about this when John was discussing it with some folks in our group, my problem with it is that it's not a very accurate representation of sex for young people. Like, people don't start doing it like porn stars until much later, right? Like, when you first start having sex...
Hope for you yet.
Oh, I've said too much.
No,
but you know what I mean. It's like, but I just think that.
See, we're all 14 now.
This is news.
Oh man, I just think. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, I think that if a 13-year-old boy or a 13-year-old girl were looking at porn, they might get ideas about how they should behave sexually and what's enjoyable, whether or not that you don't know what's in. Okay, come on, seriously, you don't know what's enjoyable to you sexually until you've had some experience and you get it, and you know what I mean. You understand why you're doing what you're doing, and I don't think you have that. I mean, there's a reason we don't let kids vote and drink and do things that have lifelong impacts because they're young and dumb. So when you're screwing, when you're 13, 14, 15, you don't know what you're doing. You're not making the right choices, you know? And so I would have a problem with him writing that letter and encouraging it from that standpoint. But I do get, like James said, kids are going to do certain things anyway. And I don't necessarily have a problem with him saying, hey, you need to go to, like, you know, redtube.com or something that's not going to put viruses on your site and you don't have to use my credit card. Like, I don't know.
The problem I had with it, if this happened with us, you know, if our boys had this issue and you decide, and I get that the dad was trying to avoid the son feeling awkward, which is why he wrote it down and gave it to him instead of having a talk face-to-face, but I would much prefer you would have a talk face-to-face, even if it was brief, even if it was a look, dude, you know, been there myself, you know, whatever, but I don't know that I'd want you to write a big letter about it and give it to him As if to say, because to me that implies more shame.
Well, the father was obviously not equipped to do the sit-down thing, right?
Yeah. Sure.
I guess if you write it down and give it to them, slide it under the door or something, you're caught in that dichotomy, right? Am I preserving their privacy, or am I implying this is so shameful we're not even going to talk about it? So here you go.
I think it also depends on the kid too. I mean, as a kid, having your parents talk to you about sex, you want to gouge your own eyeballs out.
Well, yeah.
And it's, I can see his point of this is something he's going to encounter, and our philosophy as parents is, to let the kids know as they can understand it, what's out there in the world, rather than try to shield them from it, to know that you're going to encounter these things. People are going to offer you drugs. Here's a million ways to make bad decisions. Here's, be inoculated so that when you run into it, you have the ability to make a good decision. And I think this depends on the kid. I think is the kid going to be horribly embarrassed, and is it going to go right over his head because he's, dying of embarrassment? Or I don't think you can really know what the best approach was there. But I do appreciate that he tried to initiate the conversation to go, this stuff is out there. And I agree with you that the unrealistic nature of porn, you also have to make a comment about the realities of human sexuality. Is this is like an action film versus a fist fight. It's totally different things.
He said fist, and I got nervous. I was like, where are we going?
You got nervous. I'm sitting next to him.
If you take a shit, I'm sure you wipe your ass, right? No?
I have mental skid marks.